Hello, world, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Matt's Corner. Today is Friday, April 10th, 2026, and we're recording once again on our up and running garage band. We're a garage band. Whoa! We come from laptop land. Whoa! Ugh, sorry. I think Joe Strummer's turning around in his grave right now. Probably would be if he hadn't been cremated. I do need a theme song. So I'm gonna reach out to Paul Simon or somebody. Friend of the show. Um, yeah, this week was another long week with not much doing at all. But tomorrow should be nice. Tomorrow I have plans. I'm going to see my dad's side of the family, the Polish side. We're going to have a big meal, a brunch, all the traditional Polish foods. You know, kielbasi, and some pierogies, and some guamkis, some schnickies, and some crisp chickies, and a big pot of kapusta. That's how we do it in Poland. We come from Poland. Whoa! Oh God, somebody shoot me. But that'll be nice. That'll be nice. We used to have the big Polish meal every Christmas Eve when I was growing up. And my grandmother, even into her 90s, would make all the pierogi by hand. It would take her literally days. And for those of you who don't know, it's a dumpling. You can fill it with potato or cabbage is a common one. A lot of cabbage. We eat a lot of cabbage. Our movements are very healthy. Got to make up for all that dough, right? Yeah, so that'll be fun. It'll be a bit of a throwback. And you can have a lot of different things with the pierogi. You can have sour cream. You could do some applesauce. No pork chops, just applesauce. And we've been making gravy for years and years and years, which is very good. So there's a variety of ways to enjoy the cuisine. And it'll be a treat. It'll be a treat. Looking forward to that. And then when I get home, I will plan on walking like 8 miles to burn part of it off. I went for a walk today. It was 70 degrees today, which is crazy because a couple nights ago it was still flurrying. As Prince said, sometimes it snows in April, and he wasn't lying. And it's also like 70 degrees. And it's already been 78 degrees. So, what's that old adage? If you don't like the weather in New England, wait 5 minutes. And it's true. It's pretty true. It dropped like drastically too. It was 70 earlier, and right now, the temperature is outside. Oh, 54. That's not crazy. That's not crazy at all. I just walked to Shaw's, which is my supermarket around the corner, and I do mean supermarket, man. It is a superhero in a lot of ways. Shaw's, WEI Red Sox Radio Network. Joe Castiglione, longtime announcer for the Boston Red Sox. He would always be in the advertisements and he'd say, I go to Shaw's every night after I call the game on the Shaw's WEI Red Sox Radio Network. Which is fun. That's fun. Pierogies are fun. It's all fun, folks. And also fun, and actually very genuinely exciting, is just about 2 hours ago now, the Artemis 2 returned to Earth. They had a very successful landing in the ocean, not too far off the coast of San Diego. It's incredible. I mean, I'm not saying anything revolutionary here, but the precision with which they have to pull such a feat off and succeed is incredible to me. From the launch to the whole mission, and I mean, it's just a teeny tiny little capsule capsule, like a Tylenol capsule, basically. And then they know where it's going to land in the ocean. So the Earth has to be in the right place, and their velocity has to be the right speed, and it's incredible. Which brings me to my next point. I think it's all fake. Hey, I've never seen a rocket take off in person. I mean, I've seen smaller scale rockets. Like there's a recent Robert Goddard celebration in Auburn, Massachusetts. This is the 100th year anniversary of his rocket launch. Now that's real. I believe that. But I mean, Robert Goddard didn't go to the moon. You know what I mean, man? Robert Goddard wasn't in some kind of Cold War space race, man. It was so he didn't have an agenda. Okay, who has an agenda? NASA. I don't know. I'm kidding. But I will say that I did for a long time think that the moon landing was fake, because when I was a kid, there was a show on TV, it was advertised as one of those like news program documentary kind of things, and it was all about how the moon landing was fake, and you know, the photos were staged. And I will say some of the photos and video evidence is a little, makes you scratch your head a little bit. Yeah, that would be one heck of a hoax. Heck of a hoax! But I'm coming around to the idea that it might be real. Yeah, but isn't that crazy? They went to the dark side of the moon. Far side of the moon. That's the same thing, right? Did they? Because at first everyone was saying dark side of the moon, and then now it's like they only say far side of the moon. Did Pink Floyd start charging them every time they said dark side of the moon? That's my only explanation for the change. That, and maybe it's just not actually dark all the time. Maybe we just can't see it. Who knows? Maybe there's a light bulb over there. I don't know. I've never been. But at this rate, seems like I could go. Would I do well? I think younger me might have been okay. Nowadays, I have a hard time even being in like a car for more than half an hour. So it would be difficult. And they do a lot of testing with the mental strength. You know, you have to be able to be in a car for 30 minutes. I think that is actually one of the big NASA tests. I know they make you puke. I know they do that, which, what are you going to do, you know? Yeah, I think those are the two big tests. And then if you can do those things, then they give you a nice orange jumpsuit. Funny that their suits are orange and also prison jumpsuits are orange. That would be a good movie. Guy escapes from jail in Florida. Just happens to coincide with the launch. And he's running through the thing, and they're like, yeah, you're supposed to be up there, man. Oh, crap. Why do you have the shackles on? Would you get going, you goofball? Okay, I'm sorry. He gets up there, criminal in space, ends up saving the day. Could be good. All on account of the orange jumpsuit. So yeah, welcome home, Artemis 2. That was really, it's hard not to get emotional about the whole thing, because it's beautiful and it's exciting and it's scary, and yeah, it's been like 50 years since they've done anything like that. People complaining about spending all that money on space exploration. Well, I mean, I personally am for it. And it's a lot better and makes a lot more sense than spending a lot of money on war. Okay, that's it. I'm going to get off my high horse because this is not a political podcast. Which is why I'm going to bring up sports right now. I'm watching the Red Sox game here in the background. The Red Sox are in St. Louis. Meet me in St. Louis. Meet me at the fair. Don't tell me the lights are shining anywhere. Any place but there? Ah, crap. I blew the lyrics. I was in that play, but it was about 20 years ago. I played Sidney Purvis. I had no lines. The whole purpose was I get to dance with Judy Garland's character very awkwardly and be generally obnoxious. And I pulled it off with great aplomb. Didn't even have to act, really. But that is one of my favorite musicals. Not just because I was in it when I was a kid, but uh, it's good. It's good. And also, one of my all-time favorite Christmas songs is from that movie originally. Um, you know the one she sings. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Yeah, it's a tearjerker. Um, but yeah, that's all I know about St. Louis. World's Fair. When was that? 1903. 1903. Wasn't that also the first World Series? Red Sox versus Cubs? Maybe versus St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know. I'll have to look that up again. But the score right now is the top of the seventh. No, that's not the score. That's the inning. The score is 3-2 Cardinals. And yeah, the Red Sox are still at the bottom of the standings there. And that's not good. But again, it's early. We're going to win the World Series. I don't have a doubt in my mind. This is the year, folks. Place your bets. Go to Vegas. Put it all on red. Sox, not the Reds. I don't know anything about Cincinnati. But regardless, Regatta Deli. Very good sandwich. If you're ever in Worcester around Quinsigamond Lake, you got to go to the Regatta Deli and get the regatta. Yeah. So anyway, maybe the Red Sox will pull this off. Also happening this weekend in the wide, wacky world of sports is the Masters, the greatest golf tournament of the year, surely. And yeah, I've never been to Augusta, but I've seen many photos. So I feel like I have a very deep personal connection. It's almost as if I was born on the 16th hole. You know what I mean? Like I popped out of that hole, and that was my birth. Thankfully, they took the pin out. Woo! Otherwise, ouch! Am I right, folks? Folks, Rusty, right here, Dad. I'm gonna try to sneak that into every episode. But yeah, I'll be watching a little bit of that this weekend. Sunday, of course, it's going to get real exciting. I think Rory McIlroy won last year, which is cool. I love Rory. Tiger Woods, oh my gosh. Another drunk driving accident. Jeez, I'm crow. Why not call an Uber? He could afford a chauffeur for the rest of his life. No problem. And I think at this juncture, it may behoove him. That is going to be some crazy biopic someday, though, let me tell you. I feel like there's got to be two parts. The first one is all the amazing success he had as a young golfer on the course and just winning left and right back in the late 90s. And then you got to do part two, where it's almost like the rise and fall. But he's bounced back before. He could bounce back again. The guy's bouncy. So, yeah, maybe it'll be a trilogy. Ooh, somebody call Peter Jackson. Get him on the line. Get him on the horn. Where do they film in the Lord of the Rings movies? Wasn't that Scotland? So the guy must like golf. Was that not Scotland? Was that like Greenland? Or Denmark? Somewhere. It was in Europe. So, you know. The other thing I wanted to mention is when I'm winding down my fun-filled days at the farm, I like to watch some old TV shows in bed. I got TV on DVD, cutting-edge technology. And right now, and for the past, oh my gosh, almost a year or so, I've been working my way through Bewitched, classic sitcom from the 60s into the 70s. And I grew up watching Bewitched reruns on Nick at Night. So for those of you who don't know, Nickelodeon was like the kids network, big time in the 90s. I had so many of my favorite shows, like All That, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Keenan and Kel, which was kind of a spin-off of All That, Pete and Pete, Alex Mack, Shelby Woo. And then they had cartoons, which were incredible too, like Rugrats and Doug, Rocko's Modern Life. Hey Arnold, I think, was a Nick show. Also great. They aired Ren and Stimpy. I never got into Ren and Stimpy. That was a little too gross for me. Rocko's Modern Life, that was my kind of my sweet spot when it came to edgy cartoons. I mean, you gotta, folks, I'm like 7 years old. I mean, this is really as extreme as I can go at the time. But I still think back at some of those Ren and Stimpy episodes, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I would like it now. But yeah, anyway, long story short, what I'm saying is Nickelodeon had some amazing programming back in the day, and I'm sure I'm missing a million. And Saturday nights they would have a block called Snick. It was like, I think 8 to 10. It was 4 half-hour shows. And there was a host. There was like an MC. I think it was Stick Stickley. I think he did Snick. And all that was kind of like kids' Saturday Night Live. Like they would do skits, and then they had a musical guest at the end. And then after 10 p.m., they would be Nick at Night. And it would be old sitcoms from like the 60s. So that's where I first started watching Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, Green Acres, Laverne and Shirley, all these shows. And they would do marathons in the summer where, like, you know, every Tuesday it was nothing but Green Acres. Every Wednesday it was nothing but I Dream of Jeannie. And speaking of I Dream of Jeannie, I Dream of Deanie, they had an ad on Nickelodeon for Nick at Night that was set to the tune of Suzanne Vega's Tom's Diner, which, if you don't know by name, is the one that she goes and yeah, it was all about I Dream of Jeannie, and she's like explaining the plot and what happened. And there's even a line in the song where she's like, "It's kind of like Bewitched." That's in the parody of Tom's Diner, not actually Tom's Diner. Although Tom's Diner, she talks about some pop culture stuff too. She references an actor who had died when he was drinking, which is a reference to her reading about William Holden's death in the newspaper. Although she does say also that it was no one she'd heard of, which I find very hard to believe. But yeah, William Holden, I think he was only like 63, and he was a big time drinker, and he was alone in his apartment or a hotel room or something, and he got off the phone, and he was drinking, and then I guess he tripped and hit his head, and he tragically bled out. And then the conspiracy theory is that he wanted to die, like he could have still reached the phone to have called for help, and he decided not to. Allegedly, he was also still in love with Audrey Hepburn years and years later, but Audrey Hepburn dumped him because he had had a vasectomy. I don't know, man. These are all Hollywood rumors, okay? I'm not, who's that? The rumor lady. There were two old rumor ladies. I'm not one of the rumor mill ladies. Gosh, what were their names? Anyway, too much obscure stuff right now. But, so anyway, long story short, growing up, watching Bewitched over there. And so I, a couple years ago, got the complete series on DVD. And it's like 253 episodes. I mean, it is a long run, to quote the Eagles. It's a long run. But it's fun. But it's also weird, and fans of the show know what I'm going to say. When the show starts, Samantha is married to Darren, played by Dick York. The show's on for a few years, huge hit. And then Dick York, Darren stops appearing in episodes. He's just, where is he? And it's always like, oh, he's on business trip or something like that. And I'm just like, huh. And what ended up happening in real life was he had sustained an injury, a back injury on set of a movie. And it screwed him up forever. It injured him. And I guess they were filming he was like pretty much in chronic pain. And then he had passed out during the filming of one Bewitched episode. And then the season ended. And when the season premiered, I guess at the end of the summer, Dick York was out. But there was another actor in playing Darren Stevens. And it was Dick Sargent, who kind of looked like him. It was weird. Both guys named Dick, kind of similar looking, played the same character. No one ever mentioned it. Like they literally even changed the opening credits. It's jarring when you're just watching it in order, and I don't even know if there was much explanation made to the public when this all happened back in the I guess it was the late 60s by then. But yeah, and the other weird coincidence is, so Dick York, Dick Sargent, there's an old movie called Sergeant York. And to make things even stranger, George Tobias, who played their neighbor, Abner, he was in the movie Sergeant York. So I don't know what's going on, folks. Like I always say, are we living in a simulation? Is this the Matrix? Is this whole Bewitched thing like that deja vu cat they see in the Matrix? I don't know, guys. But yeah, great show. And I only have, I think, 2 discs left. So I don't know, 20 episodes left, which is exciting that I will have seen every episode, but also it's sad, you know. Been watching it almost every night for what, a year? But the other thing that I've been watching lately, late at night, is I went to Goodwill, which is a wonderful store. It's where I go. I can walk to it. I get a little, what do they call that? Retail therapy. Yes. And I had a DVD day. Oh my gosh, excuse me. I've been working on that burp for like 25 minutes. Woo-wee! Tasted great. Back to the show. So, I found this DVD set. It's 6 movies on 2 discs, and they're all Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff, one of the great actors, did a lot of horror movies. He was most famously known as playing Frankenstein's monster in the Universal horror classic. I want to say 1931, 32. He was also the Mummy. So the guy was the one of the monster kings. Him and Bela Lugosi and Lon Chaney and who else? Claude Rains. Yeah, there was a handful of guys that were the guys. And this is before Vincent Price and Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. No, this is like the generation before them. And yeah, Boris Karloff, I guess, got typecast doing these kinds of roles, but he's a brilliant actor. I mean, those guys really were way more versatile than their film credits may suggest. And these movies, anyway, they're not the Universal ones. They're all Columbia Pictures. And there's The Black Room, The Man They Could Not Hang, The Man with 9 Lives, Before I Hang, The Devil Commands, and The Boogeyman Will Get You. And I've only seen the first 3 so far. Black Room, that's from 1935. The Man They Could Not Hang, which I love, from 1939. And The Man with 9 Lives from 1940, which is pretty similar. But The Man They Could Not Hang, let me tell you about this movie! So he plays he's not mad yet, but I will say he's an eccentric scientist. And he finds a way to stop a person's heart, and then revive them to like solve whatever's ailing them. It's good for what ails you, right? And he's got his assistant voluntarily goes under, and he like stops his heart, so he's technically clinically dead, right? Now his assistant's fiance, she freaks out. She's like, "Oh my God, you killed him!" So she goes to the police, and she's freaking out. And the police come, and they're like, "Hey, what are you up to, you crazy scientist?" And Boris Karloff was like, "No, please, you must understand. I can bring him back. He volunteered. He will tell you that himself if you just let me bring him back." And they're like, "No, you're going to jail." So they don't let him revive the guy. So the guy stays dead. He goes to jail. He gets convicted. They hang him. Then you find out that he had some other guy, some cohort, some buddy, bring him back to life after they hanged him. And they kept it a secret. A couple months go by. And then all the people that were involved in his trial get invited to this big mysterious mansion. So like the sheriff, the judge, a bunch of the jurors that said he was guilty, all to this mansion. And then all the doors suddenly lock. Bars on the doors, bars on the windows. And the voiceover comes over and he's like, "You thought I was dead, but I'm back. I told you I could be back." And they're like, "Oh, this is great." And he's like, "I'm going to kill you all one by one." And so sure enough, he starts killing them one by one. And the whole time I'm watching it and I'm like, this is amazing. My mind is blown. And this reminds me so much of Agatha Christie's classic, And Then There Were None, which is my favorite, like, trope. It's a bunch of people, they're stranded in a place. A lot of times there's like a storm going on, and a lot of times they're strangers, and one by one they start dying, and you don't know who the killer is. And a lot of movies have adapted this. Clue, the movie, Murder by Death. Even stuff like Identity with John Cusack. I think The Hateful Eight kind of has a similar thing going on. And it all kind of harkens back to Agatha Christie. So I'm like, well, obviously this was influenced by And Then There Were None. And I looked it up, and sure enough, folks, they were both released the same year, 1939, but the movie came out first. What? By like 3 months. What? Crazy, I know. So that kind of makes it even cooler, I think. But highly, highly recommended. And if my only complaint was it's so short, it's like a little nugget of a movie. They're all the ones I mentioned, they're only like an hour long each. I think because maybe back at the time, I remember my grandfather, Papa, would tell me about going to the movies. For like a nickel, you'd see a newsreel, a cartoon, a cereal, and 3 movies. So you're there all day. And I think it was, you'd see like 2 big-time, serious Hollywood movies. And then in the middle, they would show maybe a B movie. Or like a horror movie. And these are all horror movies. And I guess they're B movies, but oh my gosh, I love them so much. I really, really do. And also my father named his previous dog Boris after Boris Karloff. And when the dog passed away, of course, they got a new dog. And the new dog is named Bella after Bela Lugosi. So yes, I definitely grew up in a classic horror movie household. I myself am strange and unusual. So I guess that's it. I'm sorry if this is running long. I have no idea. I don't have a timer on this. I have a bar beat. So this has been 890 bars so far, which is great because that's how I tell time. I don't know about you. And gosh, is that nothing else? Nothing else of importance, really, at this juncture that I can think of. But have a great weekend. Have a great week. And I will talk to you when I talk to you. I cannot make any promises because I don't want to lie. You know what I mean? I don't want to be known for as the fibber anymore. You know, I've got all the skeletons in my closet that I need, folks. I've burned enough bridges. I'm a relationship pyro, okay? So I don't want to fib again and say I'll talk to you next Friday or something, and then next Friday something comes up, and then look, and I've made myself out to be a liar, okay? And I don't want to do that. Excuse me. All right, I'll see you.